I've lived and breathed music since childhood. My older brother, 10 years my senior, was the one who introduced me to it. He used to be a DJ, and when I was a kid, he taught me how to work the turntables, mix tracks, and feel the rhythm. Music became our shared language. Over time, he settled down, started a family, and switched careers. But when I got older, he helped me land a gig at the nightclub where he once worked. Because of my college schedule, I could only work weekends, but that arrangement suited both me and the club owner. I wasn't a big fan of working late nights, but I loved the music. There was nothing like the rush of getting the crowd hyped, reading the room, and setting the perfect mood. But nightlife wasn't just about beats and energy. It also came with its fair share of drunk customers, aggressive patrons, and shady figures lurking in the dark. Sometimes, I felt like the night brought out something predatory in people. I tried not to dwell on it, I just focused on my job. That night, the club was packed. Around midnight, I spotted a group of girls at the bar, celebrating something. They were drinking, laughing, enjoying themselves. One of them, wearing a red dress, was noticeably more intoxicated than the rest. At one point, her friends headed to the dance floor, and she waved them off, signaling that she'd catch up. That's when I saw him. A man in his mid-40s, tall, with sharp, piercing eyes. He stood a few feet away, watching. Minutes later, he approached the girl in red. First, he just spoke to her, but then he moved closer. She hesitated, shook her head, and tried to pull away, but he leaned in even more. His lips moved right next to her ear, and suddenly, she began to stand, stiff and hesitant, like she had no choice. From where I was, I couldn't see exactly what he was doing, but something about his posture, the way he angled his body toward hers, made me think he was threatening her. Maybe he had a knife pressed close. Maybe something else. No one around them seemed to notice. I couldn't just stand there. An idea flashed through my mind. If I drew attention to her, maybe I could stop this. I grabbed the mic. "Hey, girl in the red dress. Yeah, you heading toward the exit. Hold up. Someone requested a remix of this track just for you." In an instant, heads turned. She froze, wide-eyed, her face filled with panic. The man tensed. The bass dropped. The crowd cheered. But now, everyone was looking at her. The man lingered for a second before stepping back, realizing that too many eyes were on him. Then, just as quickly as he appeared, he disappeared into the crowd. The girl bolted back to her friends. I saw her trying to explain something, her hands shaking. A minute later, they all left the club together. I exhaled, relieved, crisis averted. My shift ended hours later, and I stepped outside into the early morning chill. The city was quiet, still asleep. I was heading toward my car when I saw him. He was standing under a street lamp, motionless, watching me. A cold wave of fear washed over me. I dropped my gaze and quickened my pace. Only when I got inside my car, locked the doors, and forced myself to breathe did I dare to look back. He was gone. The next weekend, he was there again. This time, he was inside the club. I spotted him in the crowd, his eyes locked on me. When our gazes met, he smirked, just slightly, like he knew I was afraid. Then he vanished. For the next week, I couldn't shake the fear. Even on my college campus, even in broad daylight, I felt like I was being watched. The anxiety built up until, finally, before my next shift, I called my brother. I tried to keep my voice steady as I told him everything, but he could hear the tremor in it. He listened. Then he said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." That Friday, the man didn't show up at the club. I started to think maybe it was over. Maybe he had moved on. But when my shift ended, and I walked toward my car in the dim light of dawn, I felt it again. That heavy, suffocating presence. And then I saw him. This time, he didn't just stand there. He started moving toward me. Panic shot through me. My fingers fumbled in my pocket for my keys, but my hands were shaking too hard. They slipped from my grip, clattering onto the pavement. I bent down, scrambling to grab them. Too late. He was too close. I turned and ran. Heavy footsteps pounded behind me. My heartbeat slammed in my ears. Then a sudden crash. I spun around. My brother and James, one of the club's security guys who had been friends with my brother since they worked together, had tackled the man to the ground. My brother twisted his arm back, while James pinned his face to the pavement. "You sick bastard," my brother growled, yanking a knife from the man's grip. James held him down as my brother rushed to me. "You really thought I'd let you deal with this alone?" I was trembling. My chest felt tight, my vision blurred with tears. The overwhelming flood of fear, relief, and adrenaline crashed over me all at once. In the distance, police sirens wailed. I never saw that man again, but the fear he left behind, that stayed with me. To this day, I can't shake the feeling of being watched. Sometimes at night, I swear I see a shadow just beyond the window, or hear footsteps trailing me when no one's there. I always kept my weekday and weekend lives separate. Monday through Friday, I was just another student. Plain clothes, tired eyes, head down in my notes. But on weekends, I became someone else. I dressed sharp, wore expensive shoes, my best watch, and stepped into the neon-lit world of nightclubs, where music thumped and drinks flowed. That night, everything felt routine at first. My friends and I hit one of our favorite spots. We danced, ordered rounds, laughed. And then I saw her. She stood near the bar, long dark hair cascading over her shoulders, wearing a sleek red dress that hugged her figure perfectly. She wasn't just beautiful. She had a presence. When our eyes met, she smiled. It wasn't just a friendly smile. It was an invitation. We danced, we drank, and we talked, but only about the little things. She was vague about herself, dodging questions with a teasing smirk. The mystery only made her more intriguing. When it was time to leave, she grabbed my hand. "Walk me home," she asked, her voice smooth and confident. I offered to call a cab, but she refused. "I want to feel the night air," she said. It was warm out, the streets nearly empty. We walked, her hand occasionally brushing against mine, her laughter soft in the quiet night. But as we moved farther from the club, I started to notice the silence. No passing cars, no late-night walkers, just us. And then I noticed something else. She kept checking her phone, typing, sending messages. Ahead of us, a car was parked on the side of the road. Tinted windows, no license plate. A sinking feeling hit me. The alcohol in my system seemed to evaporate instantly. The girl pulled at my hand, urging me forward, her body pressing closer. "Come on, it's just up ahead," she murmured. My instincts screamed at me. The car doors opened. 3 men stepped out. Big guys. They weren't drunk partygoers. They had a purpose. I yanked my hand free. She reached for me again, but I was already moving. I turned and bolted. Behind me, I heard a shout, then the sound of car doors slamming. They were getting in. They were coming after me. I ran blindly, feet pounding against the pavement. A quick glance back, the car was closing in fast. If I stayed on the road, I was done. My eyes darted around, searching for an escape. Then I saw it. A narrow alleyway between 2 buildings. No way the car could follow. I swerved, diving into the alley. Trash cans, fences, a dead-end lot. Anything to slow them down. My lungs burned as I vaulted over a chain-link fence, landing hard on the other side. The shouts behind me grew angrier. They were on foot now. I didn't stop. I zigzagged through back streets, slipping between buildings, jumping over another fence. My only thought, get to a main road, get to people. Then finally, lights. A gas station, one of those 24-hour ones with a small convenience store. I sprinted toward it, nearly collapsing through the door. The clerk looked up, startled. A couple of customers turned to stare. I forced myself to walk to the counter, my breath ragged, pretending everything was normal. But when I looked outside, the street was empty. No car, no girl, no men. I stayed there for nearly an hour before calling a cab home. Even now, I think about that night. I think about how easily I could have gone with her, how easily I could have let my guard down completely. And I wonder, what would have happened if I hadn't run? Would they have just beaten me, taken my watch, my wallet? Or had they planned something much, much worse? I moved to the city a year ago, hoping for a fresh start. I left behind memories, heartbreak, and the loneliness that had clung to me for too long. But things hadn't exactly gone as planned. My life had fallen into a dull routine: work, home, sleep, repeat. The only person I really talked to was my best friend Rachel, who still lived in my old town. We called almost every day, and she was the only thing keeping me from completely losing my mind. Tonight was different. It was the anniversary of my parents' death, and the weight of grief felt unbearable. I needed to get out of my apartment to drown out the silence. Rachel had been nagging me for months to go out and meet people. Just one night, she'd said. Have a drink, let loose, maybe even flirt with someone. I had always found an excuse not to, but tonight, I didn't have the energy to argue. I didn't dress up, just a simple dress and simple makeup. I ended up in a small club, not too crowded, nothing fancy. There was a single bar, a small stage, and a dance floor that barely had a dozen people on it. I wasn't here to dance. Instead, I made my way straight to the bar and ordered a cocktail, trying to blend into the background. The bartender was friendly, maybe a little too friendly. He had a smooth voice, a charming smile, and an easygoing confidence that made conversation effortless. At first, I welcomed the distraction. I was alone, and it felt nice to have someone to talk to. But as the night went on, his questions became more personal. Are you new around here? I don't think I've seen you before. Yeah, I moved here last year, I answered, sipping my drink. Alone? I hesitated before nodding. Yeah. No family? My stomach twisted at the question, but I forced a small smile. Not anymore. He gave me a sympathetic look. That must be tough. No boyfriend either? I let out a short laugh. Nope, just me. I didn't think much of it at the time. People ask questions, it's normal, right? But looking back, I see it now. He was gathering information, checking boxes. Alone? Check. No family? Check. No one expecting me home? Check. At some point, another man had come up to the bar near me. He was rough-looking, unshaven, with a worn-out leather jacket and piercing eyes. He ordered a drink, then glanced at me briefly before looking away. Something about him made me uneasy. He was watching the bartender closely, and I assumed he was just another guy looking for a fight. I tried to ignore him, turning my attention back to my drink. I was feeling warm, a little lightheaded, but I chalked it up to the alcohol. I ordered another cocktail, and the bartender's smile widened as he slid it toward me. That's when things started to feel off. My vision blurred slightly. My limbs felt heavy, my head foggy. A strange sense of detachment washed over me, like I was floating outside my own body. Panic crept up my spine. I hadn't had that much to drink. I knew my limits. Something was wrong. I need some air, I mumbled, pushing back from the bar. The bartender's hand was on mine in an instant. I was just about to take my break. Let me walk you outside. I wanted to say no, but the words wouldn't come out. I felt like I was sinking. He guided me toward the back exit, his grip firm but gentle, like he didn't want to cause a scene. As we stepped outside, I heard him murmur something to another employee, something about covering for him. The alley was quiet, empty. The night air did nothing to clear my head. I stumbled slightly, and he caught me, his arm slipping around my waist. "You okay?" he asked, his voice smooth, practiced. I tried to answer, but my tongue felt thick, my thoughts sluggish. A sick realization settled in my gut. This wasn't just alcohol. He had done something to my drink. He led me toward a car parked in the employee lot, its headlights off. My heart pounded as he opened the back door and, with surprising strength, shoved me inside. "That's it," he whispered, almost laughing. "Just relax." Fear surged through me, adrenaline battling the drug in my system. I tried to move, to fight, but my limbs were unresponsive. He shut the door and walked around to the driver's side, slipping in and closing the door behind him. And then, the driver's door was yanked open with force. I heard a grunt of surprise, followed by the sickening sound of a fist connecting with flesh. My vision swam, but I could make out a blur of movement. Someone pulling the bartender out of the car, slamming him against the pavement. The man from the bar, the one in the leather jacket. He was shouting something, but my ears were ringing too much to understand. The bartender fought back, but the man was relentless, landing punch after punch until the bartender stopped moving. Sirens wailed in the distance. My rescuer turned, breathless, and glanced at me through the open car door. His expression softened slightly. "Stay awake," he said. "Cops are coming." I don't remember much after that. The next thing I knew, paramedics were checking my vitals, shining a light in my eyes. I heard voices, officers talking, someone giving a statement. It turned out my rescuer had noticed the bartender's behavior earlier. He'd seen him slip something into my drink. He followed us outside, waiting for the right moment to step in. The bartender had done this before. Not the first time, not the first victim, but it was the first time he got caught. Even now, I can still hear his voice, that fake concern, that easy charm. I think about what would have happened if I hadn't been saved in time. If no one had noticed, if I had just disappeared. Rachel was right. I needed to get out to meet people, but I don't think I'll ever step foot in a club again. Some loneliness is better than the alternative.